All right, so we're in the 2016 Mustang Ecoboost right now, and I'm gonna lay out everything about this car for you guys. And I wanna know if you think by the end of this video, if this is worth $16,000 to $20,000 for a used car. All right, we got another straightaway right here, so let's accelerate to 25 miles an hour. Yeah, that was actually 26. If you're not used to higher horsepower cars, this thing will feel fast. Now, if you're somebody that's driven Porsches, BMW M cars, yeah, this is not gonna feel that amazing, but most people haven't driven super high horsepower cars, and that makes this one a lot of fun. The people who have shitted on this car, but yet have never experienced like a fast car, I have let a few people drive this, and they were taken by surprise. This thing actually goes, and that is the selling point of this car. Now, the second main reason you'd buy this is the exterior styling, which I think is beautiful. You know, everyone has their own opinion, and that's okay. The previous generation was much more of a muscly car look, and this one is more of a modern, like it took some styling elements from a Mercedes, it kind of feels like, with those smooth, curvy lines. I think that the design of this car is absolutely beautiful, but again, to each their own. Let's talk about what is offered on the inside of this car. The interior is not that nice, but you get more than just the basics. So first of all, you have an option between a base model with the interior, that's why the screen is so small, or you can get the premium, and that comes with a much bigger screen. There are a few features inside of this thing that make it special though. It makes it feel more like a sports car. You have an adjustable steering wheel, so you can go from comfort to normal to sport, and all that really does is adjust the weight of the steering wheel. It does make a big difference, by the way. So, I mean, if you're driving on back roads, doing a lot of corners, going fast, it helps, you know, make the car feel a little bit more sharp when turning in. And if you're just kind of cruising comfort mode, you can almost turn the steering wheel with your finger. It makes it very easy. Second thing, a little hidden feature about this car that's pretty cool. It's got its own little drift mode, if you want to call it that. If you hold down the traction button for long enough, a notification will pop up and say, advanced track has been turned off, and that allows the car to be driven very freely and get those tires spinning. Next, in the gauge cluster, I love this a lot. I think all cars that are considered to be sports cars should have this. So you have an option to do a 0 to 60, 0 to 100, quarter mile, all of that. And I'll do a 0 to 60 test for you guys in a moment here. Now, if you're in an Ecoboost that's not tuned, you're not going to get that. That's why I think buying the tune is well worth the money. This car also has a good amount of space for being a four-seater, but with two doors. You can fit an entire suitcase in the trunk and have plenty more stuff. I actually drove from South Carolina to Maryland with 3 adults in the car, and the person in the back seat, she was 5'4", and that was comfortable for her. No way are you going to be able to fit 2 6-foot adults in this car, front and back. So this is definitely not a family car, obviously, but if you're somebody that just is looking for a sports car, you don't want to spend a lot of money, and it's, you know, you don't have a ton of people to haul around or a bunch of stuff to move all the time, this is a great car to consider. Now, the next amazing thing about this platform of Mustang, whether it's an Ecoboost or a GT, is you have an infinite choice of mods. You can get almost anything for this car. Exterior mods, interior mods, performance mods, all of that. However, I would not advise you to mod this car any more than a tune. There are forums of people who push over 400 horsepower in this thing, and let's just say they call it Eco Boom because they blow up. And yeah, mine had a blown head gasket, so that's a risk that you have to be willing to accept if you're going to get a car with such high performance for such a low price. So that's your own decision. So as for how this car drives, first of all, it feels fast. Really, it does. Now, it's not like blow your mind fast. You're not going to make your passengers scream when you floor it. I drove an M6 a few weeks ago, and that made my friends freak out. So that's a car you want to get if you want to have that type of speed, but then again, you're spending over twice the amount of money. And by the way, this car, the peak power is at around 5,500 RPM, and one of the big perks of a naturally aspirated car is you get peak power at the red line, and that makes revving out the car all the more fun. Now, That makes this car perfect for city driving because it's easily accessible power and you can just floor it from stoplight to stoplight. And by the way, still get good gas mileage. That's one great thing about this car. But I gotta give it to this car, considering it's relatively lightweight in looking at muscle cars, 3,500 pounds, when you compare it to like a Charger, a Challenger, a GT, all that stuff. It is nimble in the corners enough, right? And the speed is also enough. You can get to over 100 miles an hour with pretty much ease. And we just hit a 35, so yeah. By the way, that was actually a cop. All right. I do not have the best of driving records. All right, looks like we're free of cops, and as you guys can see ahead of us, yeah. Okay, so the best thing about this car is when you downshift to first gear or second gear and floor it, you get kicked back in your seat. But once you're over 70, 80 miles an hour, it's not a very exciting acceleration at all. It'll still go, it'll still push itself, but you're not like scared per se. And personally, I like cars with speed that actually scare me and the passengers. I think that just makes it all the more fun. But you're not always looking for that, because when I took the M6 up to windy roads, I would actually have preferred this car. Because when you have 500 plus horsepower on windy roads, I mean, well, you could mess up easily, but you just can't use the power. Whereas in a car like this, first of all, it's more easily accessible, as most turbo cars are, and you can have a lot of fun, push the car. You can actually hit redline on curvy roads and you're not, about to fly off a cliff, which makes this car definitely more of a windy road rather than a straight road. But still, we're here for a reason, because I think this car still performs pretty well on these type of roads. Another huge benefit to this car is how dailyable it is. You get great gas mileage. It's very comfortable. I mean, when you're on a smooth road, you can feel a little bit, but you're pretty much gliding across. Some bumps, it soaks them up all right. And that makes this the perfect mix of when you want to have fun in this car, you can go. You change it to sport mode, you use the paddle shifters, you put the steering mode in sport, and you feel the performance of the car. But when you're just trying to get to work and you want to relax, you're trying to get home and you're just tired, then you put it in comfort. You just kind of sit back in your seat, relax, put on some music, and it's a comfortable ride home. And yes, there are a lot of competitors to this car. There's tons of other cars you can get at this price point, but are there that many that come stock with 310 horsepower and have this type of design? That's what I love about this. Now, I'm not somebody that's like, oh, I can only do a Mustang. That's not the case. I actually really do respect all cars. I love all cars. I'll probably do a Camaro SS review for you guys in the near future. But this car, it's beautiful. If you don't think so, why? Say why in the comments. So it's completely your choice. You could get like a 328i, 330i that's used a bit older, and it's going to have less performance. It's not going to be as fast as this car, but it will likely be more reliable. It'll probably have a more luxurious interior. And so that's the trade-off you have to make at a price point like this. Just what do you want the most? Do you want luxury? Do you want performance? Is it speed? Is it handling? Is it reliability? Whatever it is, choose your own poison, because there's always going to be a trade-off at this price point. I mean, until you get to cars that are like over 50,000, then we could start talking about maybe having it all. So with all that being said, if you combine everything we just went over, I think this is an overall good car. Not fantastic, not great, definitely not bad. But if you're someone that puts all their interest into performance and speed and exterior styling, then this is a car that I would really consider looking at. Let me know what you guys think of this car down in the comments below. And if you've ever driven one, I mean, how do you feel about it? How does it stack up to other cars? And if you've owned one, has it been reliable for you? So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I plan on doing many more car reviews. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.